Let's head out into Kakabad. The path winds through slopes of wild scrubland. The countryside is deserted and the eerie silence is broken only by the cawing of the occasional crow. There's a spell for hearing what they say, but you do not have the equipment it requires. The birds appear to pause in the air to examine you as they pass. They make you uneasy, as if you were an intruder in their presence. We keep walking. Ooh, we've lost stamina. Barely an hour beyond the wall, the air begins to grow foul. The Shamutani hills are infested with the pestilence of the backlands. It saps the energy from your body, leaving you feeling nauseous and weak. They warned you of this. You will grow accustomed to it the longer you are out here, but for the moment, you must be very careful. Your maximum stamina has decreased. You will see the stamina at the top of the screen. Yep, stop. I see it top left. If it reaches 0, you'll be too tired to carry on. Stamina can be regained up to the maximum by eating rations or resting. Excellent, thank you for that. So let's, now you see here we have two options. We can kind of zoom out here. We can travel cross country or go to the low rise. I've gone cross country. If you're interested in an adventure, I would recommend it. But today we're going to do something different, something I haven't done. Another hour passes and you crest a small hillock, from the top of which you see a path continuing downward into a small settlement of huts. This must be Cantapani. Let's look at the village. From the distance, it's hard to make out much about the town, except that it must be desperately poor. The fields on either side are brown with caked mud, and a few panda animals are thin and wizened, like thirsty vines. No wonder the Sightmaster warriors don't trouble themselves to protect this place. There's nothing here to protect. That sounds depressing. Oh, we can avoid the village. Alright, yeah, let's do that. Perhaps it's the way the sergeant described the town, or perhaps it is simply a feeling in your gut. Either way, you leave the path and head through the scrubbery, walking perhaps a mile or so out of your path to avoid the town. From the top of the rise, great view across. Let's look. Let's just take a look. The river cuts a slash across the land, protecting Cantapani from the dangers of the far bank. There's another village of rough huts on the other side. And even from here, you see the sharp poles that spike from the earth between the buildings. A common sight in villages of headhunters. It is a place best avoided if you value your neck. Looking east, there's a glimmer of blue. The sea! With all of the shorelines of the caves of the Dadule. A place, they say, is haunted by spirits. Well, that's pleasant. Let me take a pause here. We've been recording for about 17 minutes. Let me make sure everything is still recording. Yes. I feel like I have to make sure because... yeah, everything is still good. The last thing I would want is I've got 3 different things recording right now. My face, the monitor, and the audio. And if one of them was to go bad, oh, that would just be awful. So, haunted by spirits. That sounds like fun. Yeah, let's go investigate the caves. Why not? I have gone to the village before, but I've never actually gone to the caves. And I hear that if you go to the caves, there's some magical objects you can collect or something. The cliffs of the Kakabad Sea are too intriguing. You have never before left Analand, and now the draw of this legendary spot is too strong. They say the first wizards grew from the cracks in the rocks of the caves, and they were tugged out by salamanders. What a strange story. They say the tunnels move as the moon moves. They say the wind plays a song as it blows past the entrances, and that the song will make anyone fall in love with you if you sing it. If even a fraction of it is true, it's all nonsense. We're rational people. We don't believe in that hoopla. It's all nonsense, of course, but the tales have drawn you all the same. Yeah, I did feel drawn here just so I could take a look around and go back home and tell everybody they were crazy. You set off across the foothills and quickly reach the edge of the cliff. Plus, I don't think my character's ever seen the sea, so this will be fun. Below, sea spray pounds on the beach, hundreds of feet below. The view into the distance goes on forever and a day. Let's look for a way down. Let's find our way into these caves. But there are no cave mouths up here on the cliff top. You look about for an entrance and see nothing, except, by the very edge of the cliff, a shallow lip of scree, and beside it, a rock covered in strange markings. Well, hot dog, let's examine the rock. You squat down to clear moss away from the marked rock. It is inscribed with a riddle. This is the way that the sorcerer went, and this is the place called the Wizard's Descent. Forward he stepped to prove what he meant, then he fell, then he floated, and so did not repent. The flock of gulls spin in the sky above you, screaming and calling. So if we could talk to gulls, we could hear what they're saying. Let's look about for some clues. You cast about, feeling at the earth, looking for a hidden ring or lever or rope, but there is nothing. Nothing but the lip of the cliff. The gust of wind threatens to pull you over the cliff edge. So we can step over the lip, look over the lip, or go back. Can we take a look over? You peer cautiously over the lip. A few loose rocks scatter beneath your feet and tumble, falling 4 or 5 seconds before they hit a grassy ledge far below. You step back quickly in case you might slip. Alright, so this thing, it's obviously like a test of faith here. It says that let's just step over. We've got magical powers, if anything. Well then, you set off looking for adventure, and here one is. The Wizard's Descent. Will you take it? Heck yeah, let's just step over and see what happens. Murmuring a quick pair to the fox. What happened to the panther? Your spirit, you close your eyes and step forward once, twice, and then your heel slips and you're falling. So we can wait and see what happens, pray, or cast a spell. So this is a Wizard's Descent. I think a wizard would cast a spell. You've got to be very logical with these games and these puzzles. You have to think through it like you would imagine they want you to think through it. So what are our options here? Actually, I remember there is a spell for floating. I remember this from last time, and I think it's like Paul? Yeah, float in air. Cast that. In the remaining moments, you cast the spell. As soon as you finish it, your fall slows as though a hand has cupped you and is lowering you to the earth. You come to rest without incident on the grass. Like I said, I've played through this game before. I have a pretty good idea how some of this stuff works. So we're now down here on this ledge, I would assume. Now you're in trouble. Halfway up and halfway down. We've just gone out of the frying pan into the fryer here. You're on the ledge, an arm's length span wide, and the drop down to the beating sea. There's no way back up. You have no choice but to follow the ledge and see where it leads. There's only one thing of note. Here, a glyph painted on the wall in a light brown paint. Let's find out what this glyph is. You peer at it. The color is old and faded, but it appears to be a P. You follow the ledge carefully around, hoping to find some way forward. A few yards later, you are spoilt by a choice. There's not one cave mouth ahead of you, but two. Now, before we go any further, let me grab my phone. I'm going to cheat a bit, because this sounds like something we're going to need to remember. I'm going to type in, we found a P. Right? That's what we found. Inscribed in the wall, a glyph. Yeah, it looks like a P. Okay, we're going to remember that. So we got a P. So we can look at the left cave, look at the right cave, or cast a spell. Let's look at the left. You peer into the darkness of the left cave. It seems to slope a little way downward into the darkness, and the smell coming from it is salty and fresh. Perhaps it leads to the sea, or perhaps it drops into a flooded pool. By the cave mouth is a low boulder. A smell of salt breeze emerges from the left-hand cave. Let's examine the boulder. You pause and examine the boulder, but it appears to be just that, a small rock about the size of your head and roughly cubic in shape. A cubic boulder now, really? That doesn't sound normal at all. 4 of its sides are covered in moss. A light whistling of wind comes from the right-hand cave mouth. Let's make sure everything's still going. Yes, okay. Roll the boulder, sit on the boulder. Can we sit on it? Will we gain any knowledge by sitting on the boulder? You sit yourself down on the boulder and look out at the sea. A moment later, you realize you will be sitting here for the rest of your life if you don't find a way to escape this ledge. It's giving us an option to roll the boulder. I guess we should take it. The boulder looks not too heavy, and you could probably roll it over, but which way? So we can go moss-free side upward, or moss-free side down. Maybe there's something sketched into the moss. Let's do that. You heave the boulder until the moss-free side is downward. It takes quite an effort, but then you notice that the face that is now uppermost has some indentions on it. Ooh. The wind blows a little dust into the right-hand cave. Maybe that's a clue. Blow some dust into the right hand. Okay, let's examine the markings on the rock. You clear away the moss until you see a few lines of a poem. 2 ways in, the cliff is cleft. Of guidance is our wizard bereft. One leads to safety, the other to death. When left is what's right. Is it right what is left? If the left is what's right, is it right what is left? Let's look at the right cave. Looking through the right cave, you see little except a faint and distant glow. A small rodent scurries out of the left-hand cave and away through the grass. Okay, so I've basically just been given 2 clues. A rat came out of the left. Rat's like, I'm not hanging around in there. On the other hand, there's a light in the right-hand cave, which could be like an anglerfish, just like waiting for me to come in, bobbing a light so it can eat me. Flip that around. Dust went into the left-hand cave. Let's think about this. The left-hand cave... No, dust went into the right hand. The left-hand cave smells like sea and ocean and stuff, but the right has a light at the end, and air went into the right-hand cave. If the left-hand cave dead-ended, dust wouldn't blow into it. The air would just kind of push up against it. There'd be like a bubble because there's nowhere for the air. We're going to go to the right. I feel good about this. And then we got eaten by an anglerfish. You went to the right-hand cave, moving slowly, and let your eyes adjust to the dark. A few steps in, your fingers running across the wall, you feel the shape of a symbol carved on the rock. We'll examine it. It seems to be the letter A. Hey, we've got another letter. Let's write that one down. So we've got a P and an A. Let me get into my iPhone here. If you feel like this is cheating, you can let me know. I don't care. I wonder if it's just going to spell out like PayPal or something and ends up being a microtransaction. The cave continues into the hillside, then turns down a slope. The walls grow narrow on either side. You are squeezing yourself deeper and deeper into the ancient heart of Dadule, with no certainty that you will ever reemerge. Then an opening appears, and with a gust of wind and a hint of a strange green light, we go through. You squeeze through a narrow opening into a wider tunnel. I feel like we've made a good choice here. Yeah, we're at the mouth of a cave, people. We've made it to the ocean. Maybe we can, like, hitch a ride and just, like, sail to Kare. That would be a lot easier than going through all of Kakabad. The inside of the cave is lined with bright fluorescent streaks from some strange mineral on the wall. It must be, like, a green glowstone, maybe? It glows a grisly green color, forming characters and slash marks. Without them, you would be lost in the dark. You see a patch of sunlight up ahead. Let's examine the walls. You pause a moment to look at the seams in the rock. Their pattern does not seem random, but more like a character in some language you do not recognize, as if someone had written a message into the very rock itself. But if so, it is a message you cannot understand. You move toward the light, almost tripping over your feet in the dark until you find yourself in a low chamber. Despite being closed off and sheltered from the wind, it is well lit by the sunlight streaming in. Through a narrow cave mouth, you see sand stretching down to the shoreline. Let's examine the walls. Looking closely at the walls here, a small patch of fluorescent seam. What? Looking closely at the walls here, a small patch of fluorescent seam. But in the bright sunlight, its glow is lost, and it is just a dark, glassy mark. Directly below is a small, flat stone, so we can lift the stone or try some magic. Let's lift the stone. You lift the stone, and underneath you see an inscription the same hand as the others you have seen. This is the place where the sorcerer saw something all others would simply ignore. It spoke to a darkness inside that he bore, so he stopped and he gloomed and made light come once more. You replace the stone, and the noise from the wall echoes around the new chamber. Well, it gives us the option to try some magic, so let's try some different magical spells here. Cast a spell. We'll just kind of work our way through them and see if any of them make sense for what we're going to attempt here. And real quickly, yeah, everything's still recording. I'm really worried it's going to stop. Let's start with, we'll go in alphabetical order. So D comes first, so we can do Dud. Illusion of Treasure. That's not going to help us at all. I don't like the whispering sounds. It's kind of creepy. So A, B, C, D, E, F, O. Summon Darkness. Okay, that makes sense, because it said that we couldn't see what was on the wall because of the light, so let's just give it a try. You cast the spell, and a thick black fog rises from your sleeves of your tunic and quickly fills the room. All falls dark, and the sunlight is cut away. Into the gloom, a shape emerges. It is the glowing rock seam in the wall, which in the darkness has become visible. Look at us rock and roll this sucker. The seam forms a shape, a letter T. A moment later, you wonder if you imagined it. As the fog lifts, the wall turns back to a dull rock once more. Let's leave the cave, and we've unlocked, or we found the letters P-A-T. Pat! Maybe it's a person we've got to meet later. Actually, 3 letters, that's enough for a spell. You head outside, blinking into the sunlight through a narrow cave mouth and into the shore of the Kakabad Sea. Aww, yeah, we done good today, folks. You hang back, watching, waiting, greetings. Greetings. Oh, I guess I have to do a girl voice, don't I? Greetings, she declares. It has been a long time since I have had a visitor.